Your place is a rat trap. Why don't you get a cat?
I have one right here.
Yeah, then buy a tiger.
You can't get tigers in Florida, idiot.
There was a documentary about it, dumbass.
Hello, hello. I'm Najir. I'm from Big Go Belt
Hi.
Media. Mrs. Caldwell, thank you so much for your time today.
Did you say Niger?
Yes, I did. That's my name.
Niger? Hi, this is Scotty, L. Scott Caldwell. Hi.
Hey, Miss Scotty. Thank you so much for your time today. Very excited to talk about the new series Bad Monkey, which is streaming now on Apple TV Plus. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Let's go to the premiere that just happened just a couple of days ago. I saw some of the photos, some of the footage from it, and you wore this beautiful dress. And I'm just kind of wondering the inspiration behind it, or why was that the selection for the event?
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So you want to talk fashion. Who was I wearing? Okay. Okay. I shopped in my own closet. I've owned that dress for a number of years and never had an opportunity to wear it. It's designed by Etro, E-T-R-O. And I was styled by a costume designer that I worked with on All Rise. And her name is Rosalie Show. So she had several things from my closet that, you know, we looked at and we both thought, well, this would make a statement, but she had to shorten it 7 inches. Okay, so she had to take it apart and put it back together again. But we both liked that it had the feel of being from someplace else, like the colors could be African, it could be, you know, Arab, or it could have been anything. But it was the colors that made it special, I think.
Yeah, I definitely did.
And I quite enjoyed wearing it. Yeah, people loved it. So thank you for noticing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was beautiful. And even with the contrast with the backdrop of all the promotional stuff for Bad Monkey, I was like, oh yeah, it's still standing out. It's even as colorful as the backgrounds were. So yeah, I just wanted to start off with that. And hopefully you had a fun time for it. This has been a fantastic series. I've been blessed given the opportunity from Apple to check the entire thing out. We're not going to talk spoilers here, but it's absolutely a show that folks must watch. As I mentioned, it's streaming now on Apple TV Plus. You know, you have a iconic yet legendary career, and you're still operating at maybe the highest you've ever been in your entire career, and even in this performance, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I want to ask you about the diversity on set, because the first thing I noticed in watching this was just how many beautiful Black people was a part of this, from Ronald to Jody, David, yourself, Reese, Chris. I mean, the list goes on and on here. I'm just for you and just for all the sets you've been on over the years. Could you talk about your reaction and thoughts about the diversity and working amongst all these other beautiful Black people?
Oh, it was thank you for bringing it up, because it was absolutely terrific, because you're correct. You don't normally get an opportunity to work with a number of really, really, really talented and on top of that, beautiful Black people. I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And it felt like, you know, sort of a coming home in a way. I don't know how to say that another way, but, you know, there's a certain shorthand that comes into play when we're kind of like all together and we're supporting and we're celebrating each other and we're holding each other up. And that happens when you're working, you know, in the community of acting, period. But it most especially is highlighted when you're working among a group of people of color together. It's, you know, it's another kind of party, and it's quite delightful.
Yeah, I said, you know, in watching this, I said, you know, the casting director, you know, you got to tip your hat off to them. But I guess a requirement had to be Listen, if you're going to be a part of this, you have to have a beautiful smile because everybody absolutely did.
Ah, that's funny. That's funny.
Now,
Yeah, but we certainly all had something to smile about.
yeah.
I'll put it that way. It's very different when you're laughing and nothing's funny, but when you have something to smile about, yes, absolutely, smile.
Absolutely. Now, another cast member of yours I want to talk about your relationship with is no other than Crystal the Monkey, who plays the character Driggs here. Now, you get an extensive time with Crystal in this, and I want to talk about the training in terms of handling a monkey and being able to work those things, because after a while you may be actually convinced that, well, Crystal may actually be your pet because you all are operating on screen together very fluidly. Could you talk about the training and the
Well,
relationship here?
okay. Right. So before they decided, because Ronald's character Neville is the owner of Driggs in the storyline, and then the monkey comes to me. But before that could happen, the producers set up a meeting with me and Crystal's understudy, because there's a second monkey, and the trainers, so that they could, talk to me extensively about what it would be like to work with Crystal and all of the do's and don'ts, because there's certain things you are prohibited from doing, because you can't use your hands as an example.
Yeah.
Because the monkey is tuned in to the hand gestures coming from her trainer.
Mm.
So you absolutely cannot, be using your hands. So if you're an actor that, works with your hands, you'd have to, figure out how to sit on them, because that was a no-no. But there were little things like that the trainer talked to me about. And mostly the meeting was about whether or not Crystal and I would get along. So it was pretty much like a blind date.
Yeah.
And, because they have a feeling for who they like and, who they want to be around. And sometimes the monkey does not want to be around a certain human. It's just that simple. But we thankfully had very good chemistry. And by the end of the date, she was sitting in my lap. She ripped my scarf off my head. She was scratching my scalp. She was grooming me. So it was just like a little love fest that I had with her. And it was just excellent, because, I'd never had such an experience before. And I must say that working with her as an actor
Mm-hmm.
was quite incredible, because she was like a master class of acting, because she had to do two things at once. She had to pay attention to her trainer and get her instructions, and she had to still be in the scene with you, interacting as if there was nobody else in the world except us. So that takes an incredible, amount of skill to be able to do something. And it's quite impressive.
Well, it's not that you need to add anything else to your resume at this point, but I'm sure that's one nice little section you can add there.
That I work with Crystal the Monkey, who has more credits than anybody else in the show. She's been working 30 years. Okay.
Yeah. And also too, like, you can also add to that obviously you radiate good energy, because what it sounds like is, if Crystal's not feeling you, Crystal's not working with you.
I think it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult. So that was, quite lovely that we took to each other. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about YaYa now. Now, YaYa represents who's Gracie's grandmother, excuse me, and YaYa is a sense of just wisdom. I would say YaYa reminds us of a lot of our either aunties or grandmothers, or even just mothers within our family, especially within Black families. That it's that person that sometimes you get told advice that it doesn't really resonate, maybe until 30 years later, where he was like, God, she was right. And as we see Gracie really go through this sort of self-discovery of one wanting to stay on the right path, but also not trying to lose her way, YaYa has always been there advocating her and guiding her in a righteous manner. But kids are going to be kids at times, especially grandkids. But as I mentioned, YaYa does represent a character that a lot of us are familiar with. And I'm sure there's probably connections with YaYa and yourself that you even resonate with in terms of just one, just being a catalyst within your family, and then also just somebody who just brings so much experience to a set. Uh, how else would you describe YaYa, and what else would you sort of direct fans in terms of what we can expect with her for the remaining part of the season now that a few episodes have released?
Okay, so I would, and this is sort of like work that I do when I have the opportunity to have a script. I look for clues to help me inform who the character is. So I look at that name YaYa. Okay, and so that means grandmother, like we refer to Nana or that kind of thing. But in the spiritual world of the Obia, YaYa is defined as the revered elder, the keeper of all knowledge and wisdom. And she often is the most powerful in that community of spiritualism and mysticism, the YaYa, okay? So I took that and was able to sort of just infuse the character with who that would be. She's the original. Okay, she's the original. So she's the one with all of the wisdom and the knowledge and all of the secrets of this art that we're talking about, and she passes that on to her granddaughter. So she's able to mold her granddaughter up to a certain point and to guide her in how to handle the responsibility of the kind of power that she has, because power of that nature is not to be taken lightly. And I think that's what she's trying to guide her granddaughter in, towards the light of this art, because it can go either way. So I think that's the most important thing, is that YaYa, represents the healing piece of Ubia. And that's just. Okay, that is just. That is JUST. It is just the healing that comes from that. And of course, it is a plot point in the show. It becomes a plot point. But, in terms of how she is functioning as both grandmother and spiritual leader in this domain, I think it's important because she's functioning in two ways. It's not just the love of a grandmother. She is the spiritual leader of this thing we're talking about, this Ubia, and she has the great, great, great gift of being able to pass that on. And for me to talk about how we're different or how we're the same, L. Scott Caldwell, believe that because I have lived so long and have learned so much, and especially about acting, that it's incumbent on me to teach the next generation what I know. And also the secrets of being in this business, to be able to be in it long enough to, let's say, have 3 pensions, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think we're the same in that way, that we have this knowledge, we have this wisdom, we have this sage, and that it's very, very important that we spread it and pass it on, okay? Because nobody's really teaching what we really know. Not in this day and age. And that's one of the things that happens, that YaYa stresses in the TV movie, that young people don't pause long enough for the human connection. They're too busy on their cell phone. Okay, so we both agree about that, is that human connection is very important, and we both stress that.
Man, I tell you what, there's a lot to process there. And I'm so thankful for your time today to be able to share that with the world, because I will tell you that in watching this series, YaYa is so layered, and the moment that you bless these screens, they do become these sort of therapeutic moment where it transcends way beyond Bad Monkey, but it definitely applies to every individual's day to day. And then hear you being able to articulate that is beautiful, and I truly appreciate it. So here's what I'm gonna say to end off on this. I extremely look forward to the world checking out the entire series of Bad Monkey, which is streaming now Apple TV Plus, 10 episodes, new episodes weekly. And I'll say this, that I hope we get to come back and talk again soon, because I don't know when or where we might get an announcement, but I got my fingers already crossed and sending it up to the sky for a season 2. More YaYa on screen, more L. Scott on our televisions and movie theaters. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, YaYa. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.